Hey guys, welcome back to theclinicaltrialsguru.com. Thank you so much for watching and keep your questions coming in. Dan at theclinicaltrialsguru.com. I will keep you anonymous. Today's question is in regards to PI qualifications. And so when is a PI qualified to do a study? And so I'm going to break this down based on FDA guidelines for what they consider, what they require out of a PI, and then sponsor guidelines, which are often stricter than the FDA guidelines. So the FDA does not say anything anywhere, and I just got this confirmed from like 5 different monitors, okay? The FDA and the FDA guidelines does not state a PI must be an MD. It states that a PI must have MDs as investigators to cover for the study and to conduct some of the clinical activities that an MD, that would be required of an MD. But the PI himself or herself does not need to be an MD. I also know this for a fact that there's a clinic, a pretty big clinic in California where one of their PIs and one of their founders is not an MD. And they do tons of studies. They're very successful. So that's the FDA's guidelines, okay? The FDA doesn't have many qualifications. You should get your PI to take the NIH Protecting Human Research Subjects. You should have your PI do at least yearly good clinical practice GCP training and make sure they're familiar with 21 CFR, the Code of Federal Regulations governing clinical research trials. But other than that, okay, that's the FDA guidelines. Now, that doesn't mean that every sponsor is going to accept any PI you throw at them. Oftentimes, they do want the PI to have experience, and I tell my sites this all the time. And by the way, if you want to partner with me, I work with startup sites all the time. My company will get involved as an owner. We take about 15 to 50%, depending on whether we are financially committed or we have to make financial investments in the company, or whether we're just sharing our expertise in getting studies, getting you guys up and running with the training, getting all the patient recruitment, contracts and budgets. So anyways, as a side note, email me if you're interested. But to get back to your question, it says, could you please tell me what qualifications are required for him to be approved as a PI? Does he need to have prior clinical research experience? Because he does not. Does he need to be board certified? Because he is not. So board certified is less important, much less important than clinical research experience. I can tell you, and this is again what I tell all my sites, no sponsor wants you to be, or wants their study to be your first study. No sponsor in the world. They don't care if it's your second study, or your third, your fourth, your fifth, your 100th. But no sponsor wants to take that chance unless they're extremely desperate and you have your PI has a huge patient population and you look pretty promising as far as your recruitment capabilities. No sponsor is willing to take that chance of this being their first study. With that being said, there are ways to get studies for PIs with very little experience. The fastest way and one of the best shortcuts or hacks is to get the PI or the potential PI to be a sub-investigator for some trials, and preferably trials related to his or her specialty and trials related to the therapeutic indications that you are going to be applying for studies for. So a little bit of networking is all it takes. Talk to some clinics in your area, or talk to some clinics just immediately outside of your immediate area and say, hey, I have a PI here, a potential PI. Would you be willing to use some of his services in exchange? He can be a sub-I. Oftentimes, if they're affiliated with any universities, the universities often do research. So that would be a good place for your potential PI to go to. So those are the two things, the two hacks and shortcuts I would recommend if your PI does not have clinical research experience. Does he need to be board certified? No, it's less important. What's the most important is the experience, and then having the necessary patient population to conduct the trial. So hopefully this helps. If it doesn't help you, email me again. And like I said, I partner with startup sites all the time. So if you're interested in exploring that option, we can set up a teleconference. Just reply to this email that I'll send you, and hopefully it helps out. Okay, so this is kind of what the FDA is looking for when it comes to principal investigators, what sponsors look for, which are, as you've seen here, stricter criteria, and then some hacks or shortcuts on how to get some experience on your potential PI CV. Hope this helps. Let me know, Dan at theclinicaltrialsguru.com. Take care.